Back to comment is Bob Krill refused to hunt down or track down my money or get the money that was necessary by whatever means the government has possible, even though they control everything in our society. On top of that time, I was put on personal multiple barrier for fractured back, the work available. I was kicked off social services pretty much almost, which I'd take to arbitration and threatened my life to be put back on the street by the head person in town, which they charged me with uttering threats of social services, which was thrown out of court, which my lawyer, being Robert Yo, I think the prosecutor was Johnny Johnson, or Constable Johnny Johnson of the RCMP of Comox Valley, who woke me up one time when I was living out in the middle of the street, just in the fall time when I first started. You look at in such things as this, that every 2 years, life gets threatened to go on there. They refuse to give retraining in a field that's equivalent to anything in the construction for trade. To work in society and another union job would mean a union run again, because all unions are the same. Also, as time goes on, from 26 to 36 or 37, age comes in a factor. How much money does one want to spend on retraining? To retrain somebody. Well, if you live to 100, it makes sense to. Should have done it 4 years ago. Made even more sense. For me to do something, to train myself, just doesn't make sense, because it's not a guarantee. That's just a waste of time, waste of money, and a trap to put somebody in, such as things as student loans, knowing they'll never be able to pay back the student loans, and pushing that debt onto somebody else, which is a cruel act for me to push a debt onto anybody else but myself. And no loans officer in this country should get a loan out to anybody unless they can pay it off within their lifetime. Period. They might not have kids, right? And their kids shouldn't have to pay off their debts, because it's ridiculous. Other than that, I had to pick bottles after being told I was going to be thrown in jail so I could eat better, come up with better foods, because I was weak, unhappy. I needed money to go to jail because I know nobody's going to come visit me there. That's just common sense. Looking at BCT and Global TV and Global at that time, they had a thing on jail and what you could have and couldn't have in jail. And according to a criminal code book of Canada, Martin's Criminal Code Book, I'd be in there for 4 to 5 years. So, started saving for a laptop or a computer when I got in there, because we were allowed one. And for money out of the canteen for stuff. Like I said, going on 10 years living from the street to inside. Hustled for a few years to get some, not necessities, because necessity by the definition of alimony never changes. It only means something more in life all the time. Because, hey, the Titanic story. Who wants to be on the bottom of the boat, and when the boat goes down, they lock us all on the bottom and let it sink, right? And all the guys on the top get off. Just don't make sense. Especially when they're stealing all the ideas from the guys on the bottom. And they get them to do all the work, hey? Kill all your workers. Then you top guys have to work. Just don't make sense. Well, that's the reason why I live this life. Be nice to go get a job, find some retraining, but hey, what is there really to do is a question. Retraining. Pharmacist, rec management, physical education degree. If you're going to be a personal trainer, you might as well take your physical education, because then you actually got a degree, not just some ticket you got to renew every year. And if you're going to take your rec management, you might as well take that. If you don't have a degree in life, you're only good for whatever the government says minimum wage is. They got to bump minimum wage up at least $15, $20 an hour just to survive today. Especially when rents are like $700, $800, $900 plus, because a $9 an hour job a month is only going to be $1,100. Most places for a 3-bedroom house, you're not going to have a family unless your wife wants to work or your girlfriend. Eventually they get tired and they're going to go look for some man who makes more money than you. They call them sugar daddies. That way they got a roof over their head and they don't have to work anything. But you know what? They do their little bit of work, they're happy, they get paid more, and they get dressed better. And they live a longer life. Maybe, maybe not. And they just become a slave for that man who's a little bit older. Well, Ross Lie out for now. Hope this is a little update for those who've watched this. I still don't talk to my mother because every time I see her I rage. Ignorance. It's called child abuse. Always getting put down by your parents. Getting money stole from you to save it up as a kid. It's pretty pathetic. When you're making $30,000 a year and you have to steal $5,000 your kids saved up all their life for, basically not all their lives. Every time they work, you take their money because you need more money because you're too greedy. And then you wait till they're old enough so you don't look like the child abuser anymore. And they look like the abuser of their parents. Reversing the charges, isn't it called? Mother didn't want to be an abuser, so she waited till her son was old enough so he would look like the abuser and get in trouble. Common sense. Switch the scenario. No difference than, hey, let's get him on one charge, bait and trap him, premeditate a bunch of acts, so we can add another charge and another charge and another charge to his file, which are all premeditated from day one, which are all false reenactments of anything. Only the first charge is counted for anything. And that was in 1999, the refusal of the social services, Judy Williams, denying Ross Lie of social services and putting his life in intent to harm by living on the street, being malnutritioned in a society of the 21st century when it's a safety net for all. You guys take her easy.